Hey, campfire crew, let's get it on.
You play a good game, boy, but the game is finished. Now you die.
Hey gang, before we get into the stories for this 2 for Tuesday, and I hope you dig it, I don't believe I did a Valentine's Day special last year. I'm going to go back and check the archives. Man, I get so many stories and I tell so many stories, I forget what the hell I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. If you have any creepy stories about love going awry or crazy exes, that sort of thing, send it my way. Uncle Josh, truescarystories@gmail.com. Want to put a special together? Need your help. Now, everybody kick back, relax, and enjoy 2 for Tuesday, True Scary Stories. The Cow Graveyard by Writer Quiet. My friend and I were connected at the hip. If she was at her house, I was at her house. If I was at my house, then that meant she was at my house. This happened during the COVID lockdown, and before I get into the creepy part, I have to explain what the cow graveyard is. My friend lived in a neighborhood right outside of a small town. The houses were probably spaced at least a few hundred feet apart. There was this old man-made stream that had been dried out for quite some time, and we called that area the Wash. Well, in the Wash, there used to be a lot of cow bones, from around at least 10 dead cows. The bones were clean and old, no skin or hide on them. I liked the cow graveyard because I liked to collect bones of animals that had already passed. Well, one night while we were at her house and we had been going through a difficult time, we had gotten this feeling. We felt like we weren't real. It's hard to explain, like we were in a dream, but also not. It had happened to us a few times before, and I always told her that if she felt like that, she should go outside to look at the stars, because in my dreams, the sky looked like a painting, and not real. So, we decided to take a walk and smoke some weed. We had to do it outside because we couldn't get caught by her dad, and we were teens. Once outside, I decided I wanted to walk to the Wash. The cow graveyard was at the entrance to it, and she agreed, and we started lazily walking there, taking our time and having weed-fueled conversations about the universe and our purposes in it. When we were about halfway to the Wash, we saw something. We were maybe half a football field length away, and at first we tried to be rational about what we saw. It looked like an animal digging in the cow graveyard, but there was one small issue. It did not look like any kind of animal we had ever seen, and it was twice the size of a damn bear. Once we realized that there was no way that thing could be a dog, we went silent for a good 30 seconds. We felt stuck, like we couldn't run if we wanted to, and the feeling of us not being real came back tenfold. Finally, my friend broke the silence and whisper yelled, "Dude, what the fuck is that thing?" And all I could reply was, "I have no fucking clue." For a moment, I thought I was just tripping balls. But she saw the same thing I did. There was no way it wasn't real. Now, I don't really believe in supernatural things or ghosts, so I tried to convince both of us that it was a bear. That was until I really looked at it. It looked like if a human stood with both feet on the ground, bent at the waist, and was digging with its bare hands in the dirt. The dirt was being flung behind it, maybe 7 or 8 feet in the air. At that point, my friend was crying and shaking, begging to go home. I, on the other hand, was not surviving a horror movie, and I told her I wanted to get closer. I wanted to see what that fucking thing was. She was begging me not to walk closer to it, and I told her she could go home, but I was going to see what it was. After a bit of arguing, we made the agreement that if I could yell at it and it didn't look, we could get closer. So I took a deep, shaky breath, and I shouted at it. The moment I did, its head snapped in my direction. At that point, it was pitch black outside, besides a few distant house lights and my phone flashlight, and I swear to you, its eyes were glowing yellow. The moment I locked eyes with whatever fucking hellspawn cow spirit thing that was, my friend was crying and we were off running to her house. We snuck into her bedroom through the window and closed the blinds, and we didn't sleep that night. We had maybe a 5-minute conversation about what we thought it looked like. The next day, probably around 11 a.m., we walked to the wash. Every single cow bone there was gone. The bones of at least 10 cows just dug up and gone. The dirt was piled back, and there were no tracks or footprints in the dirt. No sign anyone was ever there at all. I can't even look at cows that are alive the same anymore. Skinwalker in Arizona, submitted by Earl45. I'm going to start this off by saying I don't buy most Skinwalker stories. I mean, some seem legit, but most just sound like fantasies, and I guess some people will feel the same about my story. I'd heard about them as I grew up outside of Phoenix, Arizona, sure, but it was all movies and stories, and nothing my native friends ever talked about. I thought I would never see one, and it was never even a thought in my mind, until the summer I went with the Begay brothers back to where they originally lived, in Chinle. We'd all grown up in Phoenix, same schools, same crappy fast food jobs, but after they graduated, their mom wanted to move back home, back near family, back where the sky was bigger than the city. They asked if I wanted to come out for a couple of weeks before I started college. Free trip? Dirt bikes? Open desert? I said yes before my brain showed up. The first few days felt like I was on another planet. Red cliffs in the distance, dry wind that tasted like dust and sunburn. Houses spaced so far apart they looked lost, except for the little neighborhood where they lived. At night, the dark wasn't purple like the city. I mean, it was pitch black out there. Stars jammed into the sky like someone spilled salt on a piece of black paper. I slept on their couch when I stayed there. They had an uncle who stayed in a small house a little ways off from theirs. Really quiet guy. But he watched me the way people look at a stray dog. Curious, but not really trusting it and not sure if it was going to bite or what. The evening this all happened, we had taken the bikes out just before sunset. Tyler rode ahead, his taillight bouncing over the dirt trail, and Ray came too, a little quieter than Tyler, and he was always scanning the horizon like he expected something to be there. "Don't go too far," Ray said. "We need to be back before dark." I laughed and said, "What the fuck is dark?" He didn't laugh, and he didn't say anything back to me. The air got cooler as soon as the sun dipped down, and the desert turned this grayish blue, with shadows stretching long and thin. My bike was just buzzing underneath me, and everything was just awesome. Super fun. But then Tyler slowed up. "You hear that?" he shouted over the engines. I killed my throttle a bit, and at first I didn't hear anything. But then, way off, something like a howl. But something was wrong with it. I mean, it started high and then dipped low, and then got cut off like it was yanked away mid-sound. "Coyote?" I yelled. Ray shook his head slowly. "No." We should have gone back right then, but we didn't. We rode another half-mile, and that's when Tyler braked so hard he fishtailed. Something stood ahead of us on the trail. At first, I thought it was a deer. I mean, it had thin legs, but like too thin, and its body looked folded, like the joints didn't line up right. This thing turned to look at us, and even in the low light, I could see its eyes reflecting, not like an animal's soft glow, but they were bright and sharp, like two shiny coins catching a flashlight. "Go," Ray whispered. Not super loud and not panicked. What scared me, he was dead serious. This thing took one step sideways, and its leg bent backward. My brain immediately tried to fix that, then none of that movement made sense. Nothing moved like that. Tyler gunned it and I followed, tires spitting rocks everywhere. We flew past this thing, and close enough I smelled something rotten, but sweet at the same time, like sour meat left in a hot car. I don't know, I'm bad at describing this. The thing screamed. Not an animal sound. I mean, it sounded like a person trying to bark. I didn't look back at first. I didn't want to. I was shit scared. But I did for a second. And what I saw terrified me even more. The thing was running after us on 2 legs. And what I did see in my brief glances backwards was that it had these arms that seemed to hang too long, with its fingers almost brushing the ground. Its head jerked from side to side, and its mouth was open too wide, flashing what I thought were teeth, but who knows? I wasn't really looking at it, and we were moving pretty fast. But what I did notice is that this thing was fast, too. Way faster than it should have been with that janky body. Ray must have noticed me looking over my shoulder repeatedly, and he yelled out, "Don't look!" We hit a wash, and my bike bounced so hard my teeth cracked together, and the screaming got closer. But then it was farther away, and then it was closer again, like this thing couldn't decide how it wanted to move. Finally, we saw lights from the house in the little neighborhood ahead of us. I've never loved anything so much than seeing those lights. We tore into the yard, killed the bikes, and booked it inside without looking back. Tyler slammed the door and Ray locked it, and then the windows. None of us said a word, and my chest hurt like I'd been breathing fire, even though I hadn't been doing any really serious physical activity. We were on dirt bikes. That's when a knock hit the door. 3 slow taps. My blood went cold, and suddenly Tyler's mom was standing in the hallway saying, "What happened?" There was another knock, same rhythm. 3 slow taps. Ray whispered, "Nobody open it." And then we heard a voice right outside the door. It was Tyler's voice. "Hey, let me in." Tyler was standing right next to me. I reached over and grabbed his arm. I think that's the point when I stopped being a skeptic about this stuff. Their uncle suddenly had come in from the back door, like he had been expecting this. He didn't look scared. He looked pissed off. "You talked about things you shouldn't have," he said to Ray and Tyler, but he said it in their language. They had to translate that for me later. Ray just stared at the floor, as did Tyler. I finally said, "What is this?" The uncle looked at me and said, "Something you don't call. Something that wears what isn't." He said that in English. The knocking started again, this time louder, and there was some scratching. The uncle told us not to say its name and not to describe it more than we already had. He went and made some phone calls, and within an hour, 2 older men and a woman arrived at the back door. They came in. None of them were smiling. They looked pretty pissed off, too. They went back outside with the uncle, and we all watched through a crack in the curtains. We saw them moving around the property slowly and stopping at certain points. We saw smoke drifting around, and we heard their low voices, steady and serious. They were placing things along the edge of the yard, these small objects that we couldn't make out in the dark. The scratching we heard turned to pacing, and we could hear footsteps circling the house, fast and agitated. Then a thud against the wall that rattled a picture frame that scared the shit out of me, and I wanted to dive under the couch. Then we heard the woman outside say something loud and sharp, like a command. The pacing stopped. Then came that scream again, louder and furious. We all peeked out through the window again. And there it was, standing just beyond the yard now, right at the edge where the uncle and the others had walked. Its body was twitching and jerking around like it was being shocked, and it tried to step forward and recoiled hard and stumbled around. And then I looked at its face, and god damn, I wish I hadn't seen its face. It looked almost human for a second in the soft light that was out there, but it seemed to be stretched tight over something wrong underneath it. It didn't fit. It kept circling around, searching for a way in, and every time it got near the boundary, it flinched and snarled and was acting like it was really confused and very pissed off. The group outside kept chanting low and steady. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, it wasn't the power of Christ compels you bullshit, but it was just this constant low chanting. Finally, the thing let out one long, broken howl and then turned. It didn't run like it had when it was chasing us. It just walked on these two legs, stiff and angry, and it shrank into the dark desert until it was just another shadow. The other people left, and the uncle came in. He looked tired. "Don't talk about what you've seen outside this house," he said. And then he looked directly at me and said, "Especially you." He wasn't any more pissed off at me than he was the other guys, but I was an outsider, and I know I'd seen something that I was not supposed to. I don't think any of us were. But I just nodded so hard my neck hurt. This happened a couple of decades ago, and I now live in New York City with my wife and kids. I still am friends with those guys, and we chat all the time. We never talk about this, and the only time that we ever did was when they were up visiting me in New York City. But once in a while, at night, when I'm in my cozy house with my family, I wake up to 3 slow taps, but I convince myself that they're in my dreams. They probably are. But if they ever do come to my door, I'm telling you right now, I will never, ever answer it. Hey gang, thanks for listening to this episode. If you have a true scary story of any nature that you'd like me to narrate, email it to unclejosh.truescarystories@gmail.com. I read them all. If you're catching this on YouTube and you like what you heard and saw, why not give the video a thumbs up, share it with a friend, leave a comment. I'd love to know what you thought of the stories. It's all free and it all helps out with the algorithms, so I appreciate it. Follow me on social media, and if you'd like to take your support a step further, find a link to my Patreon page in the description, and consider getting some Uncle Josh and Campfire Crew merchandise. A link to my TeePublic storefront is also in the description. Everyone, be excellent to each other, and until next time, be wary of things that go bump in the night. It could be anything: a ghost, a monster, or the guy next door.